Hey everybody, this is James with Emergent. Here with another activity that I like to do with my patients. This is a great bilateral localization activity. It also begins to start to get them to use their eyes together to localize in space. So what we're using is just some golf tees. I've got 3 separate golf tees here. If you want to break this down to a lower load to begin with, you can start with just 1 golf tee. Sometimes, depending on the patient, I'll even start with pieces of Play-Doh, like make a little Play-Doh ball, and you can put a ball for each place so that you don't have to worry about them knocking things over and they can just use their fingers. But the way this activity works is you want to get both of their eyes looking right at the target. So if they're looking at this first tee, then the second tee and the third tee should have that fizz dip principle, okay? If they're working at the middle one, then they should have a fizz dip here and they should have a fizz dip here, and then that way you can tell if they're suppressing or not. If you want to start with their fingers, that's great. It gives them a little bit of kinetic touch. It also helps with proprioception of them feeling where their hand is in space. One of the reasons where I don't always do that is it seems like when they do come down and touch, sometimes they'll touch too hard and they'll kind of stick to their finger and they get a little bit frustrated. But that can actually be a good thing. So then they learn to touch really softly, okay? So what you're doing is if you're using your fingers or their hands, they're going to touch with right hand, then they're going to touch with left hand, and that would consider one touch, okay? So both hands have to touch each one. As I do it, I usually go to I just use my wolf wands. I flip them over and it has the tips on there, and I use them. At home, of course, they're not going to have wolf wands, so they can use pencils. Pencils are great. But the whole goal is, again, I want them to hold their wands out from each other. I tell them that they can't come together. So if they touch with their right hand, they can't hold that one there as they bring their left hand in. So it's one side, it comes up out of the way, and then it's the other side, and then it comes up out of the way. Then they proceed to the next peg, and they touch, and then it comes out of the way, and they touch. Okay, and that's how they're going to continue. And what you're wanting to do is to encourage them to actually see and guide with their eye that touching aspect. See, guide with their eye, watch as it comes down, use that periphery. A lot of times we're telling them open their periphery, keep their periphery open, and actually watch that comes down. What they're going to do is a lot of times is they'll come from the bottom and the side and then move in towards it, or come behind it and move towards it. You want them to come just directly straight down and really touch the top of the tee, not the side of the tee. And then again, they'll go to the last one, again, one side, then the other side, okay? Keeping everything separated. Once they're comfortable with that, then I can begin to load it with cognitive loads, okay? So the first cognitive load is just the ABCs. So again, it takes 2 touch. So they touch 1 and say A, okay? Go to the next one, B. And then they go to the next one, C. And I let them go through the alphabet. So I'm saying, can they keep that sequential processing in their mind? Can they keep understanding where they're at? And as they go and as they touch, can they really know where they are in space? The way that I work with them is if they touch and knock it over, then they have to go back. So if they're like on A, B, C, D, E, and then they knock it over, I send them back to the letter A. If they get past the letter H, then that's kind of like a level, then they have to go back to the letter H. You can make it up however you want to with them. The next level I do is letters and numbers. So it would be A, 1, B, 2, and go through that way. If you want it to go a little bit faster, you can do a letter for each and a number for each. So you could go A, B, 1, 2, C, D, 3, 4. So you can see it takes a little bit of concentration. Now they're doing sequential processing with letters and sequential processing with numbers at the same time. So that makes it a little bit harder. So this is an activity that's really great. As they get faster at it, it really helps to see. You can also kind of judge by their face if they're really having to concentrate, if they're really holding tight to these, helping them to loosen that grip, help them to know where they are in space. Many different parts of the activity. Another way that you can help it out, if you decide using the white tees, I can then put red-green glasses on it, and then that way I know if they can hold luster on each of the pegs, that I can kind of get a little bit of binocularity activity out of it. So holding luster, red-green glasses, or just the actual touching. So great activity. I hope that it's something that you can use with your patients and that they enjoy it. Have a great day. Bye.